Well, guys, exciting morning. You can probably see it. On the right side of that post, I got 2 strands run along the top down to where the new corner post is between me and the neighbor. And a sight I like to see. The cows on fresh grass. So, I got the 2 strands run along the top. I come home, switch the roll of wire so I can give the neighbor the roll of wire, and I'm going to let him do the last 2 strands along that short stretch. I came home, took that roll of wire off, I put one of my old rolls on, and I ran 1 strand back down to the house. There's 2 other strands of crappy wire, but I want to get 1 strand of high tensile run along it, so I have 1 good strand. My cows have never bothered that fence in the past, but it's more the deer in the wintertime run through it and knock it all off, so I really only have the 1 strand of high tensile powered. The other 2 strands are they're dead. But by now the calves, they associate that fence with a hot electric shock, so they don't bother it anymore. So yeah, happy. The cows are finally on this hillside. This is all backwards now. This is where they normally start in the rotation and work their way around. But, and you can see, I have a poly wire running up the hill to the fence on top, so they can only eat what's on the right side there for right now. And normally I used to move the cows every day. Last year, for the last 4 or 5 years, the last 2 years for sure, I moved the cows every day. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, I did it in paddocks. I'd set up a big paddock, move them I think it was every 4 days back then, 4 or 5. And then now, knowing more about the cycle of grass, you really don't want them on there more than 3 days, because a lot of times when you cut the grass, on the 3rd day it starts to grow again fast, and you don't want the cows to nip it again right away, otherwise it kind of stunts it. So this year I'm thinking, being it's not set up very good, and this pasture here all the way to the back would be easy to do a daily move. But the clear cut back there, there's so much brush and stuff coming up, it's so hard to run a wire through it. So until the grass is growing and the cows have the trees taken care of, it's hard to move them there every day. And then on the woods over there, it's hard to run a poly wire through the woods to section off pieces. So I'm thinking what I'm going to end up doing back there is dividing it in 4 pieces and then move them every 3 days. Or I might section the field off from the woods and then do strip grazing and strip graze them all the way from the right to the left, and then just let them be in the woods for 3 to 6 days or whatever, and then they start the rotation over. And after I cut hay, once I get enough hay that I know I have enough for the wintertime, then I'll start grazing the hay fields and I'll strip graze them on there. But yeah, happy day. The cows are finally up on the hill. I left the neighbor a message. We did the survey Saturday morning, discussed I needed more T-posts. He said he had some. I went up there this morning. There's no T-posts sitting there. There's no insulators, no nothing. So I said piss on it. I ran 2 strands so I can get my cows up here, and I'm done. I've rounded up enough T-posts here that I could get the wire off the ground, and he can do the last 2 strands, and he can add the rest of T-posts and insulators. I've got 2.5 days into this, 2 full days and a half day. So, he did put insulators on that back piece back there, but I don't know if he had to use 2-3 bags on the whole thing. So he couldn't have been back there for 2-3 hours tops. So I'm done. My cows can get out there now, and that's what I'm worried about. I have to go get those parts for the tractor tomorrow. One of the guys that wants me to no-till some new seating for him called this morning, and he's ready. So I guess I'm gonna run to town tomorrow, get that last outlet for the tractor, get it put together, and I'm gonna go plant his new seating tomorrow. So last week I missed 2 days that I could have went to work for Badgerland working on this fence. So it cost me 2 days that I could have made good money doing this fencing project. So it's time somebody else steps up to the plate and they do some work on it. So now I got to get where I can make some money. So I got to go and try and get this new seeding done. I have another guy that wants around 20 acres of new seeding planted. And then, like I say, the pasture walk is going to be Saturday. So the cows, they'll graze where they are now for 3 days, and they'll come here and I'll strip graze them along here through the pasture walk. And then I'm hoping next Monday or Tuesday we'll hit this with a sprayer, and then I'll plant the corn, and this will be the silage corn. And then I'll chop enough corn for silage, and what I don't need for silage I'll save and I'll combine it. And then I'll leave the corn stalks out here for the cows to graze this fall. I'll plant a cover crop here again, and had some questions on how many acres of oats and rye. I have between 4.5 to 5 acres of each, and the main reason I'm growing them is for the seed for cover crops. The seed's getting so expensive, and my plan is this year to cover everything with a cover crop that was a small grain, you know, soybeans, corn, whatever. So yeah, the biggest thing is trying to save some money on the seed, and we want some straw for the calving pens. My wife wants some for her gardens. She wants to try, they call them straw bale gardens or whatever. You plant the seed right into the straw bale and you keep the bale wet. She wants to try that with strawberries and some other things. So she wants some square bales for that type of stuff. So, and that was kind of why I was wondering with the chopper on the combine, it'd be nice if I could leave it on there and somewhat chop the straw a little bit, and then make the small square bales so they're, you know, when you bed them down, it's kind of chopped up and it spreads out easier, and it's easier to clean back up. Because when I do this calving pen, and even like right now, you know, I've been using the horse's stall for a calving pen, and you like all my steel, you can tell at the shed. When I put the back wall on, the 2x4s, the purlins and all that are still sticking out, because I had planned to add on another 30 feet to the shed from the beginning. And all that steel that I put on that shed was ordered for a house downtown. And they ordered the steel for the house, and the next year the house burnt down. So that job never got done. My neighbor right across the road, that's who has the turkey blind in the field back here. He is a contractor and does construction. He has a crew. Well, he knew I was going to build the shed, and he asked if I wanted that steel, and you know, a couple $100 for all the steel for that whole shed. I mean, it's mismatched colors and whatever, but $300. When I talked to Menards about and got a price on it, it was close to somewhere between $800 and $1,000 for the steel. So I'm not too worried about if it doesn't match. From the backside, the only people who are going to see it are the YouTube guys and anybody who comes to pasture walks, and me and the wife and the daughter, so, and whatever other kids are here. So I'm not too worried about the way it looks from the back. Function over the way it looks. So, but so I was kind of hoping that the small squares, when I build that addition on for the calving pen, it's going to have 2 calving pens on the south side. Then the north side, I want it so I can put small squares in there of hay and bedding, so I have stuff in there for if I have to use a calving pen. And I want to make small squares for the horse this year, instead of trying to unroll a round bale and trying to feed her so much. It'd be nice just to have where you could peel off 2 flakes or 3 flakes, whatever, a day. So it just make it that much easier. So, and we're only talking 150, 200 bales. I don't think that horse would use 100 square bales a winter. She's a pretty easy keeper. This last year she didn't even eat 4 full round bales, and my round bales they're not heavy. I don't make my bales heavy. A lot of them are only 4.5 foot bales, so I think 125 bales would get her through the winter. So if I make 200, I'd have extra 25 to 75 bales there for calving pen. But, and then the other thing is, I'm going to chop the rest of it and push it in the shed. I like having loose bedding better than the round bales, because like Cow Camp said, with with his hay buster, you save so much in the bedding by chopping it and spreading it out. Well, it's kind of the same thing with when I chop with a chopper, and then I can just go in and grab a bucket and sprinkle it out to bed them down instead of putting a whole round bale in there, spreading it out, and then it's thick in one spot. Well, it just gets messy, and then there's a lot of good corn stalks underneath there that just kind of went to waste. So that's kind of why I was wondering if I could get by leaving the straw chopper on there, or if it's just going to cause me a headache, and I'm going to end up taking it off anyways. And I know Bandit and you guys said, you know, put the paddle forks up there, and that's kind of what I had thought about, but I don't know. It's kind of a horse apiece. Do I want to try and pre-chop the straw a little bit before I bale it, or just take it off and know that I'm going to be able to pick it up with a chopper and a small square baler? I've got the neighbor that I rent that land from, he's got a 24T. Beautiful baler. I told him if he ever decides to sell it, I want to buy it just for making small squares for the horse and some bedding. So he doesn't want to sell it yet, but he said I can use it anytime I want. But anyways, so yeah, the cows are finally out on the pasture that they should have started on. So, and I haven't put fertilizer on it yet because I wanted to run the cows through one time, and then I was going to put fertilizer, and either, I don't know if I'm going to put urea on or if I put AMS, I get a little bit of sulfur with it. But it's kind of slow growing. You can see all the orchard grass. Go the right way here. All the orchard grass tufts are nice and big, but there's a lot of Kentucky bluegrass and other stuff in there that without fertilizer on doesn't grow the greatest. So, and it's more of a sod bearing grass instead of a bunch grass anyway. So, but if you look out there, all them dark green tufts, that's where they urinated or defecated the last year. So you can see if it had fertilizer on it, how much better it would look. But yeah, anyways guys, that's just a little update. Wanted to share my happy joy that the cows are finally starting on the first paddock where they belong, and I have the property line fence done enough that my cows can go up on the hill. So anyways guys, thanks for watching. Please comment if you like this video, hit the like button. Please subscribe, stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.